I'm Austin.
I'm Quintin.
This is XMAS Movies.
The podcast where we talk about Christmas classics that aren't exactly classics. So, Home Alone 2.
Is a movie that exists.
Yeah. I wanted to start with this movie because Home Alone, to me, is a very perfect Christmas movie. And if we're talking about, like, fringe Christmas classics, this, to me, is, like, the perfect example of that because the first movie is so perfect and this one is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Especially because this is the movie I saw first.
That's still really weird to me. I know that, like, you said,
This
like,
is like my parents getting mad at me when I, like, hadn't seen It's a Wonderful Life. I wasn't born
I'm not
in
mad at you. It's just
1990. I wouldn't have seen it.
I know. It's just like, it's just a weird thing. It's just like, it's not like, I'm not mad at you or anything like that, obviously, because it's a dumb thing to get mad at someone for, but, like, it's just a really weird, it's a weird occurrence that you saw Home Alone 2 first.
What I think happened, I think I told you this, I grew up in I didn't grow up, but I, like, the first couple of years of my life, I spent a lot of my time at my grandma's house, and she also ran a daycare, so it's very possible that she or just someone else at that daycare wanted to put on Home Alone 2, which, by the way, we've been calling by the wrong name. It's Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, actually.
I know it as a subtitle. We're not gonna get into that.
She probably fucking just put on the VHS at some point, grandma or someone else. Like, that's probably what happened. But yeah, this is the movie that I have more memories of the first movie, but when I think about, like, memories of watching it, I have more memories of watching this.
Yeah, because it's just a batshit insane movie.
It is. I don't know.
It's like, okay, like, the very inception of this movie is kind of weird. It's clearly just a cash grabby sequel. Like, that's kind of what they meant to do.
Which is weird because, like, I like looking at trivia, and John Hughes said he took this movie writing process very seriously for Home Alone 2, and, like, why is this what he came up with?
Yeah, it's okay. Let's just get some general criticisms out of the way. This isn't a great movie. This is just a lot of what is wrong with this movie is unfortunately stuff that's wrong with the script, because the nature of this movie requires Kevin to act like a lot smarter than a kid should ever act, because he has to get to fucking New York, and he has to basically live in New York for, like, I want to say a solid 3 days. I think it's 2 to 3 days, because he spends the night there. On top of that, basically, if Kevin has to be extremely intelligent in this movie, which he talks like a psychopath, but we're not going to get too far into that, all of the adults by proxy have to be extremely dumb.
Oh yeah,
like,
it's truly
hilariously
weird.
dumb.
All of the characters, like, are really turned up a notch in terms of, like, their personalities. Kevin is made. There's that one scene in the first movie where he, like, talks to the cashier at that one store, and he, like, talks like an adult, and it's, like,
the
cute.
one scene. That's the only scene in that movie where he kind of acts like an adult,
and he acts like a little adult. I would say in other scenes, but, like, it's a cutesy thing. In this movie, that's kind of all it is. And there's one moment towards the end with his mom where, like, he's, like, very quiet and like a child, and it comes off as really weird because he spent the entire movie, like, being very articulate. And I think it's McCaulay Culkin's performance, which I do not fault him for, because I actually love him, and I, like, love a lot of the stuff he's done since then. But I think, like, the environment he was in, being a child star, also, like, I think in the first movie he was young enough that it made, like, his performance kind of cutesy when it was a little awkward. Now it just feels, like, awkward, but the movie script makes him seem like a sociopath.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. The best part of this movie is, like, looking at him being like, this seems like a child who was completely traumatized by home invaders and is now wreaking havoc on New York City.
Yeah. It's weird because, like, all the acting that the adults in this movie, like, kind of, like, provide, like, is honestly pretty good. They're not with what they're given.
Great.
It's with the script that they're given. They're doing a great job. Tim Curry is a gem as always. Harry and Marv are still hilarious. It's just the shit that they're going through is just ridiculous.
I really enjoy it, and I think it feels like with some of the characters, they almost wanted them to be like more cartoony to appeal more to kids, but then there are a lot more dark elements, like a lot more intentionally dark elements in this movie, which is weird. But I don't know, like in the first movie, like there were a lot of like goofy characters, but like they always felt like real people. Like one of my favorite parts of the first movie is John Candy's character, the Polka King, and he was kind of like zany, but he felt like a real person with like real emotions, and like he just acted like an actual human being, and I don't feel like anyone in this movie actually does, which like is fine, but it makes when no one acts like a real human and no one like reacts properly in this like very dark place, it makes it seem really mean. Like everyone, I think it's like the New York thing that they're trying to go for, but
it's trying to say everybody in New York is an asshole, which is a huge generalization, by the way.
Well, yeah, but like
it's like
I've met nice people from New York.
It's a stereotype that they're trying to play into. But the thing is, most of the people, like most of the main characters in this movie, aren't from fucking New York.
No, they're from
Chicago. Which, like,
where are Harry and Marv from? Where are they from?
Presumably Chicago, if they're robbing Chicago suburbs. Why they're in New York makes no goddamn sense. It doesn't matter. But
no, that was another, like, all of the things in this movie are like they're set up, but they're set up in like really weird ways. What movie were we watching recently? We were watching this movie Werewolves Within.
Yeah.
It's like a fine movie, but just like the way everything was set up was like it was very subtly set up. It was very intentional, and like everything in this movie was very intentional, but with Werewolves Within, it felt like it made sense within the story. With this, it was like, oh, this kind of slightly improbable thing happens to set up this improbable thing.
Yeah, it does.
And it just keeps on going, which like
it's like
movies are about like the one time that happens. Like it's about the one time like something out of the ordinary
this
happens.
Is the second time this has happened. That's the thing. It's trying to set up essentially the same scenario as the first movie. This movie is functionally no different from the first movie. It basically follows an extremely similar plot line, except for the fact that Kevin is full on attacking people instead of defending himself.
Oh yeah, no, that's another thing. Is he throws the brick through the window, the toy store window, and that's enough. That's enough. That's all he had to do. That's all he had to do. He wasn't defending himself or his belongings.
I calculated this shit. I counted in his final
in the third act.
When he's like defending, he's not defending. He set up a kill room. That's what he did.
Yeah, he basically leading them through a series of traps, like
in an old abandoned house. Which it's under renovation, as they say, but it looks like an old abandoned house.
Yeah, he should have killed Harry and Marv like 19 times in total.
No, yeah, I counted. Harry was 8 and Marv was 11 because like it was just like
it's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal because he's not using like normal household items and Christmas related things. He's using bricks, lighter fluid, kerosene. Like he's just
it's ridiculous.
It's just like he's assaulting these people. And like it's important to acknowledge this is the second time this has happened.
Yeah.
With the same characters. Suspension of disbelief is a very important thing in film, but it's like 11.
I'm gonna be honest with you. The zaniness of it all, like I don't care about. The issue I have with it is it makes every time the characters act like in a very goofy way, or like Kevin acts like incredibly intelligent and all the other characters act like really mean. Well, not all the other characters. Even Kevin is like really mean and greedy in this movie. Like that's another thing. He knows. In the first movie, he thinks his family fucking disappears. In this movie, he knows what happens. And he's like,
I'm in New York.
I'm just gonna have a good fucking time. I'm gonna spend my parents' money. Like, I'm gonna fuck shit up. And it's like he is intentionally doing all of these things. Like, it's not like he's jumping around in his home and trying on his dad's aftershave or like eating some candy. He's spending like thousands upon thousands of dollars and like messing with just like so many people, including people who like are assholes, but at the hotel are doing their jobs. They think they rightfully think he stole a credit card.
Because he did.
Yeah.
He essentially did. It was unintentional, but he essentially did.
What happens when you get all of that? I don't care about it being unrealistic. What happens is it makes moments of brutality less funny and more like brutal. When like you see them get like hit by something, I don't know why, because like they like adjust, they like fix their nose and they like get back up, and it like should be like a cartoon, but it feels empty. It feels brutal. It feels like what it is. Kevin's like attacking these people, and then at the end of the movie, he goes up to the Christmas tree and he's like atoning for his sins, and it feels dark, and it makes the scene where his mom comes in and it's like, "Oh, Kevin, I found you." Makes it feel really empty, which is why I think this could be considered a Christmas movie,
so
just not a very good one.
No, yeah, let's talk about that actually. So the whole like kind of point of this podcast
by the way, this is the second time we've recorded this episode, and
even then we're still going on a lot of tangents in this.
No, we are going on a lot of tangents. We were like, we're going to talk about only why this is a Christmas movie. It's been 10 minutes and we have not brought that up yet.
Oh yeah,
we're doing so good. We're doing so good.
But okay, the whole point of this podcast is we're trying to figure out, like, since these aren't necessarily like Christmas classics in the same sense that a lot of other movies are, like Elf and like the original Home Alone, we're trying to figure out how these kind of like Christmas adjacent films fit into that. So I think no doubt Home Alone 2 is a Christmas movie, but it fundamentally fails at trying to be the same kind of Christmas movie, despite trying, as the first one.
It does. Like, the reason why I think it's a Christmas movie is something fucked about myself, which is that all those moments of brutality met with, like, comic zaniness, leading to, like, all the emotional and, like, Christmassy moments feeling really numb and, like, empty, is something that I can relate to. At my lowest point, I remember one Christmas, like, things were just, like, not good, but, like, I kept on, like, following it up with, like, jokes and shit like that. And at the end of the day, when Christmas rolled around, I love Christmas. I try my best to, like, just really get into it. Everything felt numb and fake. And that is something with myself. I don't know if other people will feel the same way, but this movie reminds me of that. And that's why I feel like it's a Christmas movie, because it reminds me of bad Christmases.
So the thing that I associate this movie with a lot, which it's not trying to do, is this movie, in my opinion, is very similar to Christmas Vacation. Like,
oh god, yeah. Yeah, we talked about this.
We talked about this. There aren't any good people in A Christmas Vacation. Everybody is a complete and total asshole. Despite that, there's for some reason this element of, oh, it's the holidays, you gotta be cheerful and shit like that. And that's kind of a thing with most vacation movies.
Yeah.
Or most of the vacation series. That's
yeah.
But like, it's still like, when it's set at Christmas, it's just this really weird dissonance. And with Christmas Vacation, it is all 100% intentional. And it's very funny because of that. But in Home Alone 2, they're clearly trying to be like the first Home Alone movie, in that they're trying to be endearing, and like they're trying to like kind of like say, oh, this is cute. No, this is brutal.
Yeah.
This is like they're trying to deny it. And in all honesty, that's kind of the perfect way to describe a lot of Christmases, in my opinion, because it's just trying to be, it's like ignoring all of the stupid shit that you're going through at the moment and just saying, oh, this is nice. Yeah. I like this. This is all great.
But with Christmas Vacation, it is, I don't know how this turned into Home Alone 2 versus Christmas Vacation.
Because they're very similar.
They are very similar in terms of vibe, but like in Christmas Vacation, it is intentionally.
They also both take place in the Chicago suburbs.
Well.
Yeah, they do.
Well, not Lost in New York. I'm sorry, I forgot that New York was a suburb of Chicago. Let me speak. Anyways, God. Anyways. Sorry. Anyways, Christmas Vacation was intentionally about that. It was intentionally about, like, all this shit is going wrong. We're all kind of at each other's throats, but at the end of the day, even if it's like a little empty, even if it's a little numb, we're going to get together we're going to come together as a family, and we're going to celebrate Christmas, because that's what Christmas is for a lot of people. Like, it's a lot of like chaos and like really weird and sometimes dark shit happening. But at the end of the day, you get together and you have Christmas. But Home Alone 2, you can feel that they're not trying to do that. And because it's not intentionally that, it makes everything feel like just even more numb. And like it makes even the moments where they're coming together even more empty than like any other movie could ever make it. And it makes Kevin come off as a young Jigsaw in a lot of ways. It really does. And it just makes, even by the metric that we are using, it's not doing a good job of being a Home Alone kind of Christmas movie. It's also not being a good job of being what like Christmas Vacation
because
is.
It's not intentional. Like,
no, so like it's like a Christmas movie, but it's doing a real shit job of it.
Yeah. I agree with that. It's not. It's a fun watch. I will say that much, but it's definitely not a very good representation of just like this like
the season.
Yeah.
If I watch this on my, like I said before, this movie reminds me a lot of some Christmases, a Christmas in particular that I've had in the past. And with Christmas Vacation, if I watch that on my own, like at the end I'm like, oh, like they're all coming together. And like in this movie, it doesn't ever feel like that happens. All the moments are they are meaningless, and they're all just posturing. And if I watch this alone, I think I would cry. not because it's making me, not because of the bird lady scene, not because of that. No, Pigeon Lady. Sorry, it's Pigeon Lady.
No, that's how she's credited.
Pigeon
It's
Lady.
weird. She doesn't have a name. It's just Pigeon Lady.
Not because of that scene, just because it reminds me of a shitty Christmas, but in a really bad way. Everything I'm saying, I think makes me think that maybe I don't think it's a Christmas movie, but I'm still gonna say it is.
Yeah, we're not giving these number ratings that generally, but since this is the first one,
we're not rating this on
we're just
out of 5 Jingle Bells or anything like that.
No, but like I feel like if we're putting this like
maybe we should have.
No, we're not doing this.
We're doing this again. Third take.
No,
let's go.
No, fuck that. No, but I think like since this is the first movie, we're putting this. I think this is like very adequate. It's adequate to say that this is just like right over the edge of Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's like the only thing pushing it over the edge for me is that it reminds me of a depressive episode I had during Christmas.
That's sad. Not gonna lie, that's pretty sad.
Well, that'll about do it for this episode.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, that is. Thank you so much for listening.
This is the second time we've gone through without talking about Trump.
We're not gonna talk. We're not gonna talk about it. Everyone's talked about him.
Yeah.
But yeah. Next time we're gonna be talking about Iron Man 3. So
Da-da-dun, da-da-dun, da-da-dun.
We can't use that. We can't put that in there. You fucked us.
It's not the theme.
Yeah, it is. Oh no, that's
like a weird.
That's cashmere. We can't. We can't use cashmere. We can't use cashmere even more. Fucking hell. You think Feige's gonna fuck us? Kaplan's gonna fuck us.
I'm Austin.
I'm Quintin.
Have a nice day.
Happy holiday.